Hello, this is Oven from Melee Stats. Just wanted to let you guys know that this episode was recorded before the Thursday parking lot tournament and before some of the seating changes. So we won't mention results from the parking lot tournament, and some of the bracket predictions we talk about will be off. Thank you very much.
Hello, and welcome to the first Melee Stats minisode. As many of you might have noticed, we started Season 2 of the Melee Stats podcast recently, and with starting Season 2, there were some changes to the podcast. We started making shorter podcasts, more focused podcasts, and with that, we decided that there was a little something missing that we had in the first season. So, we've created the Melee Stats minisode. This will be a Patreon exclusive minisodes. You might see them pop up every now and then, maybe about half an hour. Some might be about an hour. And these are just going to be episodes that are then mainline Melee Stats episode, but definitely something that we still want to talk about. So this could be anything from pools of majors, or this could be us talking about tier lists, or this could be us talking about anything that's Melee related and stuff that we want to talk about that might not fit into the confines of a normal episode. So today we're going to be talking about the pools of Don't Park on the Grass and the upcoming major for the Pacific Northwest. I'm Gimme Dat Wee, and I'm here with
Edwin Budding
And Oven?
And we're going to be going over the pools of where we're going to make our predictions. We're going to see if there's any fun matches for you to look for. There's only one way to start. That's Pool A1. It's Iceman's pool, Dark Atma's pool. Does anyone have anything that they want to say about this?
So I guess I'll start on Dark Atma. He's sort of in the middle tier of high NorCal players, but this year he's kind of been quiet and he's been a mainstay among like the Melee top 100 for quite some time. A lot of people know who he is. He beat Crudo and Slug earlier this year, and he beat None at Evo. But other than that,
quite great wins, Crudo and Slug.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're really trying to say how great a player is.
Yeah, for someone of Dark Atma, this has definitely been a quiet year. Like I said before, he had that one win on None at Evo, but other than that, it's like Diz Kid Boogie and Kage for his resume. Yeah. And he lately got 25th at Wombo Combo, which was not very good for him. He lost to a Cool Kid and Daikuo.
I definitely think this is kind of a suspect seed for him to be this low, but I don't think it's really unwarranted. He's one of those players who, whenever he goes to majors, just kind of loses to players who he's supposed to lose to and beats players who he's supposed to beat. With the exception of the None win, which Edwin mentioned, there's just really not any instance of him popping off like he might have in the past. And when you get into his NorCal records, they can kind of get messy with having losses to Kevbot, him having losses to Rocky, NMW. I think that he's a player who I always can see doing well, but just this year really have not seen it enough to be confident. So about his bracket right here, I think he's got a pretty easy bracket to get out of pools. Do we think that there's any chance that he's not going to make it out of round one pools?
You know, if I saw more from Kramer lately, I would maybe give him a shot just because it's Fox Sheik or Fox versus Peach, depending on what Dark Atma went. But yeah, other than a close set with Dr. Light at Atlantic 3, a regional tournament, and that kind of a forgettable main bracket in a Mango Homecoming, Kramer hasn't really shown anything for me to think that he would be a serious threat to Dark Atma.
Yeah, Kramer's a weird one. Depending on how much you want to look at his like 1/3 win record against Franz, depending on how much that really matters to you. I think he could pose a threat. I believe like a set win or two on Okami this year. But yeah, I definitely think Dark Atma has this free to go out of pools. Do you have any thoughts on Pool A1 in general?
In general, it looks kind of easy compared to some of the other pools, but
yeah,
it's not like there's no like interesting matchups. Like Dark Atma versus Kramer is like the one thing to look out for.
Yeah, I agree. Notice is that this one guy who is supposed to go 0-2. I'm not going to say his name. I don't want to call him out on the podcast. He came up to me at Evo after I did an FGC stats panel, and he said I did a great job.
Good for
Him,
you.
who I refuse to say the name of, I guess, for some reason.
We'll talk about it off air.
All right, on to the next
For
pool.
some reason, I'm just like having this weird thing where I'm like, I will never say his name. Gotta make them like work for it.
Next pool. A2.
So I think these pools, it's this really kind of weird combination of like really good players, but also like matches in round one pools. I think will be extremely interesting. I think when we get to top 128 is when really it starts to get interesting. But yeah, let's just keep going through round one, see if there's anything that really catches our eye.
Yeah,
I see an A2. There it starts to get a little more interesting. Does anyone want to take the reins for A2?
Yeah, so I want to mention the matchup that I think all of us are looking at, and that's Bobby Big Balls versus Vincessant.
Yeah.
Vincessant has beaten Timmy lately. He also has a win on Dr. Light. I think he's probably like Vincessant. You guys who are listening to this, might recognize him from being originally from Pennsylvania. He's a UPenn Peach. He used to look around basic stitches level or so for a while. I would be very surprised if he didn't make like the lower end of Washington's PR. He's pretty good. Bobby Big Balls. If you guys don't watch him every Wednesday, if you guys don't watch Xanadu every Wednesday night, then you probably won't know who he is other than his Summit campaign. He's kind of hit or miss against floaties, but he's improved in his Peach matchup. But so who knows?
Yeah. I know this doesn't really mean a lot, especially because it's one set and it's a set against a different character. But if anyone did watch Xanadu this week, Bobby did take a set off Jerry. He ended up getting 3-0'd in set 2 of Grand Finals, but definitely seemed to play a little more patient and a little more cautious than normally. I do think that Vincessant probably is favored, even though I think he is the underdog in terms of player skill. I definitely think that Bobby could take this. Vincessant, he has Falco play Vikram when he used to. Now he's out on the West Coast in Washington, and I still think that actually going to be a really close one. If there's any really interesting set, like around this wave of bracket, I think that's probably one of them.
I think so. I actually disagree. I think Bobby's got it against Vincessant, and I know earlier in the year he kind of struggled a little bit with the Peaches and MDBA. Like I know Polish gave him a little bit of a tough time, and I think Mog even also had a few wins on him. But Bobby has improved a lot in those matchups. Just on the point with Jerry, as lopsided as those sets look, like Bobby's still like he'll take 1 out of every 7 or 8 sets. Don't get me wrong, Jerry is very expected to beat him every week, but he has been improving. And Bobby, all year, he's kind of had stray big wins, like individually. Like he has wins on Hacks, Cobalt, Absent Page, and Milkman, all Foxes.
Huh? Wait, Absent Page, Cobalt, Hacks, Milkman. What are those? Peaches? What? Like,
No, I was just saying, like in general, just on a slightly different note with Bobby, he's kind of had these stray wins across the year, usually in the Fox matchup, but his nationals have been pretty weak. DreamHack Atlanta was the first like much bigger tournament that he did well in. He got 7th there. So Dome Park in the Grass, I don't think Bobby Big Balls is top 100, even though he has top 100 wins. But if he were to beat Vincessant here and get some kind of like I guess spacey favorable bracket for himself, like I think that's something that you could look out for if you're a Bobby Big Balls fan. But like Vincessant is still kind of I don't know. He's just kind of a solid Peach. Like I don't think there's anything like outstanding about Vincessant that makes him a favorite over someone like Bobby. But
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Vinceston's pretty good. I think
yeah,
in terms of player skill, I don't think Vinceston's incredibly close to Bobby Big Balls, but things where if I were to of Bobby winning or Vinceston winning, I wouldn't be surprised either way, even if Bobby's definitely the favorite.
that's fair.
All right, yeah. So other than that, I don't think there's anything super interesting in this pool. Nikki, I think, will be interesting. I know that he's having beef with Kage. He's tweeting about into NTSC, which is really interesting to hear a Fox player
Yeah, Fox
talk
is
about.
of all people.
He lost his first game that he played at the parking lot on Tuesday, which is for anyone who doesn't know, the parking lot is the full series that Endgame TV is running. It ran it Tuesday up until Friday. Just like all the international players, a bunch of the international players that are going, they have them in this Airbnb, and then they just have people like Fat Goku and Bladewise are coming out to this. So Nikki lost the first game that he played. He won the set, but I know that he wasn't like feeling incredibly confident in NTSC, and then he ended up losing 2-1 to Nebi parking lot and dropped out of the tournament losers, which I don't want to like read too much into this, but I know that he 3-0'd him at Air. Imagining 3-0ing someone and then going to a different country and then losing to them, give him the most confidence. I think he's super good, and I think that even with this little like NTSC thing, I don't really think that's going to be an issue with him. So I see him definitely beating someone like Zebert.
Yeah, I don't see
From
anyone
NorCal. Yeah, I think that's going to be pretty easy for him. But I think that's something to look out for to see how he adjusts to that. Pool 3. Oven, did you want to take Pool 3? Was there anything interesting here that you saw? No, there's a player who you.
There's two.
Hey,
players.
you're a web wipe kind of guy, right?
Yes, I'm a web wipe kind of guy. I don't know how much of a chance he has against Okami BW. He's sort of been not playing Melee as much recently, so, and I know he's entering Ultimate as well, so there's a possibility, but I don't think it's a very high one. On the other side, Yard Sale versus Nebi.
That's an interesting one.
Yard Sale is probably going to go Peach. I don't remember the last time I've seen him play Ice Climbers. That was like a long time ago. But yeah, I think it's going to be Peach Yoshi. We'll see how good Nebi is against Peach. I don't know his results versus like regional Peaches in Europe.
As far as I know, there's no like really great.
I think there's one Fout NL, but I don't think he has any like super notable results.
Is Fout NL Peach?
And Nebi took a game off Armada once.
Yeah, so, true. Nebi did take a game off Armada.
Yeah, I forgot about that. So
but that is one game.
He has a down pat, but
yeah, he also played against Vincescent at Bridgetown Hyper Blitz and was kind of shaky, like a few games, and then ended up force-stocking him on FD. So I think Nebi's matches will be something to look out for in general. I don't know why you'll be listening to this podcast where we go into depth of pools and not know who Nebi is, but for those who don't, he is the Dutch Yoshi player. He used to go by the name of Avalancer or Avalancher. I don't really know how it's pronounced. He changed it. And I think, like any set that he's going to be playing, this is his first American tournament. This is his biggest tournament of the year. This and Air were the only really big ones he went to. I think going to be top 100, giving good results. And regarding him will be interesting. So him playing of Peach Yoshi, which isn't incredibly favorable for Yoshi, will be pretty interesting.
Question I want to ask about Okami BW versus Web Wipe. Does Okami frequently play Blue Buddy in region?
They both went to Last Talk SDs when they were around, and I know that Last Call SD, which is the tournament that took over, isn't as well attended by a lot of the PR. Definitely would imagine that they still play each other.
Does Okami usually win those?
I wouldn't know what to say. I'm sure he like Budding. You put your gun to my head and say, "Who wins more, Okami or Blue Buddy?" I would probably say Okami.
Seems fair to me. I think that just about does it for this pool.
Yep.
My God, there's. I don't think we knew how many pools there were before we started doing this. Okay, I think there's only like really one matchup that's going to be interesting to look at in A4, and that's Frenzy Joanga.
Dude, I just want to say Frenzy's kind of struggled since coming back to the States. He
what?
got that sort of, he beat Drunk Sloth, which is nice, and he beat, Frenzy also beat, what's his name, Over earlier in the year, so I don't want to say,
Yes.
like, he's had a fraudulent year or anything, but his 9th at SmashCon definitely looks a little less convincing the more he's
Yeah.
in the States.
Dude, all he had to do was just never come to America again for the year. Biggest majors of the year. You know he was getting voted in top 100 by like. I think
Yeah.
he was definitely coming in at like 93 or something like that.
Yeah,
And now he
agreed.
comes
It's kind of a
03, 04 with Daki, just getting like by Daki on the daily
I also think that
losses. I think Joanga versus Frenzy is going to be really interesting. Joanga, Falco. It's going to be a Falco Ditto.
yeah, I think Frenzy will take it, but like compared to what sort of his I'm sure what he was hoping for when he went to the States was not to be
Yeah.
happy that he beat Joanga. Yeah, no offense to Joanga, but for someone who got 9th place at a major, I don't know.
Yeah, kind of rough for him. But yeah, I'd be surprised. No, maybe not too surprised. It's favored, but I definitely think it's one to look out for for this particular pool. All right, so pool A5. Interesting.
This doesn't look interesting.
Yeah,
My
it's
God.
Okay, you know how
Holy
I
mackerel.
how not interesting this looks.
I think
I know
the
the
most
cost of the
interesting.
shell, but like, no, I don't really know much to say about this. Michael 100% is getting out free.
I think the most interesting thing that could happen from this is that somehow Codeman makes top 128 as Pichu.
Yeah, you're a big Codeman fan. Didn't you beat him? Isn't that why you love him?
Yeah, I beat him, but it was the most
Okay, so
terrifying set I've played in my life.
Okay, well, let's stop talking. We don't need to talk about any of your set wins unless you're talking about Zuppy.
Okay, well, on a serious note, Slow King is sort of he's a Spacies player. I think he's been playing more Falco lately. I would just be on the watch out for him. He actually surprised me a lot earlier this year when he beat Zoso at the Big House, and I know
Yeah,
Zoso tends to kind of drop national sets sometimes and not do as well as super majors, but still something I was impressed with. I think Slow King is the best player in, I want to say, South Dakota right now, or somewhere around that region. I believe South Dakota.
yeah. I think it was definitely a shock to see him as like the second seed in this pool, but I wouldn't be surprised if he like really showed that he deserves it. I think he's a good player. I will admit, out of all the second seeds that we saw in these pools, he's probably the one that I know least about. So I'm not going to say anything that gets any of the Dakotas mad at me,
Any of them.
including Fanning.
All
I think
right.
A6 gets a little more interesting than that, though.
Quaff versus eggs.
Yeah.
Contentious, but Quaff Eggs I think is really interesting.
Yeah, so Quaff, I think the best way to describe Quaff is that he's like every 2013 or 2014 Fox's like worst nightmare of a Marth player to go against. Like this guy will sit in shield, grab or hold, like just jam A like 4 times in a row, get a grab, and destroy fast fallers. He is he's kind of like not old school, but he's been playing for a while. He's I don't like he's probably just outside top 100 level in terms of like his skill tier. So I think for a guy like Eggs, sort of an old school fundamental Fox, maybe not like super, not ridiculously technical.
Yeah.
Like
If you ever wanted to watch 2013 Melee on like 2018 capture cards, Quaff Eggs is going to be the matchup for that.
Yeah, Eggs. Eggs notoriously the more experienced viewers will know Eggs for defeating Mango at Mango's Mario at Apex 2010, I think.
For some
Yeah.
reason, here is true about Eggs is that, like, drop out of this. Like, as far as I know, he's one of those people who, right now, I remember on Bridgetown Hydro Blitz, the commentary, they told a funny story about, man, like every few weeks or few months, he'll post on Facebook, but he'll post it on his public, like his for himself, and not the page for Melee. People are like, "Hey, dude, if you want to play Melee, you just got to go on the page. No one's looking to for your page for this." I think that's going to be something that like could be kind of cool. But yeah, I mean, I think Quaff probably has it too. Quaff's an interesting guy, but would be interesting to see how he does here.
Yeah, he's been ruling Alberta for quite some time, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so B1. Say about B1.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna just be honest with you guys. I don't know what Rustin or BR Talrog have been up to lately. Those two, I think like last year in my mind, they existed within like the top 150 or like 200 headspace, and I don't know what either of them have done this year. I kind of looked it up and it didn't seem like that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that Rustin stopped going to a lot, even though he, like 90% of Melee players who say that they're not going to play still plays.
Mm-hmm.
But BR Taralg, he is definitely someone who I don't really know as a Melee player currently, even though I'm sure he still plays. So that's definitely like a weird one to see of 2-3 seeds with like two people who I don't think play a ton right now. I'd probably give that to Rustin though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
BR Talrog. Guys, for people.
Oh shit.
Yeah, you cut out there.
Oh, I was saying BR Talrog used to be the Tech Chase Sheik guy before all the good Sheiks became Tech Chase Sheik people.
Yeah. Yep. This pool's a pool.
Yeah, I think I saw NMW Ferris wheel. Falco is one of the matchups I think NMW is really good in, so I don't see that going. I don't see that going against NMW at all.
Yeah. All right. Well, we see Hacks.
Hacks versus Slime. Wait, no.
Slime. What will happen? Beat Gatsu this year. Took Wizzy to Game 5.
Slime has fun in that set.
Who believe made the top 5 in most Smash GG sets lost this year.
Look, he just attends a lot. Slime,
I know.
Slime.
Slime's a great guy. Friend of the show.
He's he's also he also plays a pretty cool Falcon. He's very fun to play against. I don't think he thought the same about me, but Slime is better than what people think. Granted,
I had a fun time playing him.
Yeah, he's not going to be Hacks, but
and look at this. The 69th seed at Evo is in this pool as well.
Yeah.
Leaboo.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't. She's not beating Laura.
She was seeded 69th in Melee Evo 2018.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember she brought that up. I
This
think.
hilarious thing wasn't that funny.
Look, man, I just want to talk about Aura and Star.
I
Those
think
are
Aura's cool.
those are two people that I don't think that are that well known at the national level, or at least among most viewers. So, just for reference, Aura is like top 5 in Oregon, pretty solid peach. Star is the number 1 in Manitoba, which is in Canada. Star is sort of he's very experienced again. He's like kind of the trademark like decent Marth, very good against spacies, but doesn't get that much practice out of region. His region I think is kind of weak in comparison to the other ones. Aura sort of I don't think Aura takes that many sets, if at all, from Fat Goku, but is still pretty solidly among the 5 or so best active players in Oregon. So I
Yeah.
wonder how that set will go.
When
who
it
does
comes to
Aura play?
Oregon, I don't think that they take sets off of Fat Goku. I like just from the scene of Fat Goku from like Melee Epic and from any of the regionals that they have. He just kind of runs train on the entire state. Now I could be wrong. Maybe people want to bring up how he lost in winners quarters of some local and he brought it back in losers, but it's like one of those things where Aura doesn't really have very many sets on him, but really no one does.
Yeah, even if he does, the records are still pretty solidly.
Yeah, it
I
should
see.
be interesting.
Uh,
Aura did pretty well at Hyper Blitz, I believe. I believe he got top like very weird top 16. Yeah, wow, he got 7th place. Mode 3-2 in a like a 40-minute set. He beat Ford, who is a Ganondorf player. He didn't have to play NOW, who DQ'd from top 32 after his controller broke, and then got 3-0'd by Nebby. So a very interesting run to place better than Fat Goku, Kawmaster, Milkman, Frenzy, Nikki.
Who would have
So
thought it? Who would have thought,
Ken
man?
top 8 at Bridgetown Hyper Blitz.
All it took was an NNW DQ. All right, I think that
Start
just
with
about
NNW.
does it for
I will say
B2.
okay.
Oh, is there something you want to just conclude on?
Star doesn't have like very many like out of state results, but when he did come to BC for Cascade 2, he fought Kalamazoo and took a game off Kalamazoo, so that's something notable in the Peach match.
Oh, actually, that'll probably be an interesting thing to look out for. Thanks for the heads up. Do you want to talk about Pool B3?
Yeah. Let's head on.
Probably only like a match or two in here that's really something to look out for.
Battery DC versus Spoon.
I think that's a really interesting one. You want to talk about that?
I'm not too familiar with Battery DC.
Barry DC is a Fox player. He is top 5 in Oregon right now. I don't really know much about him, but I definitely think he's on the come up. I think he's someone who's kind of interesting to look out for. And Spoon is a Washington player.
Yeah, I've seen so my knowledge of Spoon, just to be fully transparent with the viewers, I mostly recognize Spoon from playing Toph on the Reeds with Toph, with Star and Toph. And from what I saw, Spoon is a very solid Jigglypuff player that is capable of occasionally doing very cool things.
Yeah, so Fox Puff, we'll see. We'll see how that is. I think that could be a cool matchup. Interesting thing, Mayan Ryan isn't here. Mayan Ryan was one of the first people to beat Gravy once Gravy switched to Smash Fox.
Oh my God, you're
Box
right.
Fox.
I completely forgot about that. Good note.
So we'll see if he can continue his legendary wins. All right, so moving on to B4.
I want to mention. Okay, I'm gonna call the upset of the tournament right now. Zane Ipengu
over
Gonzali defeating Reno. Zane, I've seen Zane beat up pretty solid Sheiks in friendlies before. So based on that and based on my experience playing Zane, I believe in you, Zane. You can do it.
And this is just the pool of homies. Zane is there. Ipengu, aka Berg, Greg. Well, those are really the only two homies I see in here.
All the
Yeah,
homies.
I saw
An operator. How can I not?
Posse's in this pool also.
Posse. I could go on about him, but yeah, Posse versus Reno.
Flashy Pengu.
If the upset of the century does not happen, if the easiest upset of all time does not end up happening, I think that would be an interesting one. Posse is definitely not one of those people who Europe. When the majority of people think about Europe, their melee scene, I don't think Posse comes up in a lot of people's minds. Posse's just one of those people who's been playing for a little bit. He's been solid. I don't think he really ever had an incredible breakout, but definitely think that could be an interesting matchup between those two.
Yeah, Posse's like
We know.
Posse's like at that level with like he's under Ice and Nikki, but probably around like Kellner and Blaze level or so, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't believe Posse is from Germany, but yeah.
Good job, Edwin.
Wait, he's not. Oh my god, did I just make that up? No, I could have sworn he was from Germany. No,
I was like, I'm pretty sure he's not from Germany either.
no, he is.
Oh,
He
he
is.
He's from
Wait, no,
Austria,
he's not.
right?
Just
But he
kidding.
lives
He's
in
from
Germany?
Austria. Oh, what's wrong with me? No.
He's from Austria, but he lives in Germany.
All
That's
right, all
completely fine. It's
Okay,
like the
never mind.
Spud thing, where I never know what to call Spud.
Yeah, New Zealand or Australia. Yeah.
But lives in Australia. Okay, so moving on to pool B5.
This one looks pretty straightforward. I think the top 3 seeds of this pool are going to be exactly in order of Milkman and HT going out, and Fendi going out probably in the top part of losers.
Yeah.
And as for the other parts, I didn't recognize anyone here.
I don't recognize
particularly
anyone
having
either.
Notable results.
Okay. I definitely have heard the name Pensive, but he's one of those players where if you... Right? I'll be like, hell yeah, I do. And then if you're like, hey, who's Pensive?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've definitely seen his name in the Pika threads before.
Yeah,
That's-
I know that he's a good player, so I could definitely see him getting out on losers. But regardless, Edwin, you definitely cleaned it all up. All right, do we have anything to say about pool B6?
This is like
Yeah,
No.
this is one of those.
I
Do we
think
even, what do we say?
I think the most interesting thing about B6 would be like Deep Fox versus Chevy. Offense of those two players, but like I think while that may be a fun match to watch on stream, I do not think that they will end up making too big of a splash at the tournament.
Yeah.
Chevy is kind of an old school, or not old school, but like I guess he's been playing for a few years. He's a really good Samus player. He's probably more known for PM than he is Melee, but he used to be Washington PR. Deep Fox is a pretty good, solid Midwestern Fox. So Fox, Samus, both around like not anywhere close to nationally ranked, but both like regional power ranking kind of skill tier. Should be
Didn't
fun to
know that
watch.
this would get you so choked up, Edwin.
No, I've just had I don't know what's on my voice. Also, I'm trying to keep quiet because it's late at night.
When you talk about PM, I guess you just start shedding a few
God.
tears.
Who does Strex Whisper play?
Whisper is a Sheik main.
Oh, okay. Rip.
Yeah, Shrex Whisper is a Sheik player.
I thought it would be
and
funny if
Crispy's a
they
Fox
played
player.
like a random ass character, because Profane plays Zelda, and you could get Zelda versus random ass character, but nope, it's Zelda versus Sheik.
What if they played a random character like Little Red Riding Hood or Puss in Boots?
I'm gonna go on to the next.
How
pool.
random would that be? They don't even play a character that's in Melee.
All right, Oven, let's take the reins.
Let's take the reins. Spud versus
Pool C1.
Ford Money, and Daki versus Raimo.
Okay,
Could-
is there this? I don't think this will happen, but is there any chance that like maybe Spud wakes up and is really tired? He doesn't want to fight again, and just gets forward aired like 8 times in a set.
I mean, like I don't does incredibly well against Marth, but I definitely think it's one of those weird matchups where you see some weird, like Kage has some oddly good wins against Marth players, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I like Marth. Don't get me wrong, like Marth destroys Ganon, but
Yeah.
again, it's like one of those things where if it's early in the morning or something, and you jump off stage against Ganon, you get forward aired at like
Yeah.
30%.
The assumption that Aiden, the lead TO of Don't Park on the Grass, is not doing everything in his power to make sure that Spud's conditions are perfect.
Yeah, I don't think he would put.
Time I see Spud, literally every time Aiden hangs out with Spud, he counts all the friendlies and then relays them to me. It's like I had to hear about this every time. There's
That's
a 0%
funny.
chance that Spud doesn't walk up there with like a fucking red carpet. Regardless of that, you're burying the lead. Daki Raimo is in this
Yeah,
pool.
fair
I think
enough.
that's a really interesting matchup. We talked about Daki, how he was just whooping Frenzy recently. Somehow it's just this like one of the weirdest streaks of like players who like you wouldn't expect. Like all people, Daki, Washington player, top 5 in Washington. Good record on Frenzy, who's one of the best players in the UK. So I think Daki Raimo is going to be really interesting. Raimo, one of the up and comers in NorCal. Spacey Ditto.
Yeah, Raimo's kind
Definitely
of
is
like
something to look out for.
if I'm not mistaken, if Raimo's not ranked, he's like super high Arcadian status, right?
Yeah, I believe he was in grand finals of the Arcadia.
Yeah, yeah, that should be fun. One thing about Daki is he's like 17 or 18 years old or something, and he started getting really good like last year or so.
Yeah,
And,
definitely a youngin. You know who else is a youngin?
Who else?
Does anyone want to tell me who's second seed?
Elliot. God damn it.
Have you seen this kid running around at majors? Time
How old is he?
He's like 15
he's like
now.
13, 15. Jesus.
Wow.
He was 13. Maybe I'm like
He was
maybe I'm overestimating.
at a
Maybe he's
point. He
14,
was
but-
13.
Yes, that is correct.
No. Whose man is this moment when I saw him? But then I told me who he was,
Yeah.
and then I realized, oh,
Yeah,
this
so-
guy's
So
so
he's
incredibly better than I'll be at this game. So I can't make fun of him for being young.
So he's playing Anchovy, who has wins on Daki, and I believe earlier in the year Anchovy had K also.
Yeah.
Anchovy did beat RK. It was one of the saddest sets that I've seen. Anchovy also beat Nikki at Bridgetown Hyperblitz.
Mhm.
So this will be really interesting. I know Elliot has said that what? It'll be interesting to see these two players, how it really goes at a LAN. Oreo, I think that's something where Spark
Yeah.
100% is taking it. I don't see
Yeah.
that going the other way. Another interesting pool, C3. Timmy is one of the best players in Austria right now. He's a Falco main. He's beaten Prof this year. He's beaten Over this year. He's definitely one of those players who I don't think a lot of people know, but if people were to look at his resume, would be pretty impressed.
Yeah.
A pretty good path to winner's side.
Yeah.
And on the other end, we're going to see RK, who's going by this new tag of Seku.
And Ringler.
What's it going on about?
I don't think I would be very surprised if Ringler beat RK.
Yeah.
RK is like one of those foxes. I don't think he's gonna get caught off guard by DK. I know Mojo Monkey is from his region.
Yeah.
And,
I don't know the last time Mojo Monkey's like come close to beating RK. I could check it out, but it's like
I would
it's just
be
like,
really.
yeah.
I would be very impressed by Ringler if he beat RK.
Although they RK and Mojo have not played yet this year, so
Oh,
so
maybe.
it's not as practiced as he would have been in another time period, but we'll see.
Yeah.
This year was kind of like, I think RK when he had that really big win on Wizrobe a while
Actually, he might have
back.
played earlier in the year. I only have data for like recent stuff, but it's been a while, and RK hasn't like really attended that much recently. He started attending more generally in preparation for this, but
I was gonna say I think like heading into this year, RK was a name I sort of had my finger on as someone who could quickly rise up in the sort of international ranks, and he just didn't. I guess
Yeah.
sometimes it just happens, you know.
Really, he hasn't gone to a ton. He definitely was a guy who had like one of those years of almost. Like he definitely came to a few different events. Lost Game 5 to people like KJH and Slox.
Just locks. Is the
Yeah,
first-
I could see him really making a deep run at this tournament, but I could also see him kind of busting out. However, we should be going on at the expense of time.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I think we should really just pick out a couple matches from these pools. I don't think C4 overall is something that is really going to be exciting.
I think
Move
maybe
on.
if we went back in time, I think 2017 Don B could do it, but I don't know how seriously he takes Melee at this point. And earlier this year, he lost to patron of Melee Stats, Gerg. So who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how he does.
And I think Azel's got it against Sheridan.
So moving on to C5, I think one of the more interesting things in here is Kevbot Mojo Monkey. Oven, do you want to talk about that?
No, but I have to.
I mean, no one's forcing you.
No one's forced. I'm not quite sure how Mojo Monkey would. Kevbot plays Falco, right? I'm not like
Fox.
Fox. Okay.
You're fired from Melee Stats.
Dude,
You gotta know who Kevbot plays.
For some reason, I thought he played Falco. For some reason,
You might be confusing him with Azel.
no, because I know who Azel is. I don't know why. I'm so bad. I'm fired. I'm firing myself.
Look, I think more. Or sorry, go on.
Mojo Monkey's got like a couple good wins this year. He beat Iceman. He's beaten Elliot a few times, but Elliot's also beaten him back. So it's I don't know. I really he hasn't like beaten any of the Foxes in BC, so
All I want to see in this
he hasn't beat like
is the
SB
losers
or...
match to make it out. Mojo Monkey and Ohai.
Oh god, yes. Why does this always happen? The Donkey Kongs.
You're Donkey Kong,
All right.
if you were to ask Edwin Budding.
Oh my god. Okay. In the interest of time, I think we're gonna just kind of speed ahead and just talk about a few matches moving forward that we think are interesting. One of the sets I want to bring up is Zamu versus Biz.
Biz
No.
Padlock, aka Crablock, aka Biz, aka yeah. He's got a lot of tags.
Yeah, so Zamu I think is very good in certain matchups and very untested or not good in other matchups. And this is definitely one of those things where I could see him just missing like 8 L cancels on shield and losing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know a ton of how he does. I know he's positive on Deegs, but also still has some losses to him. But also with someone as good and as young as Zamu, I don't know if it's one of those Cyrox things where you look at the results and you found out that they go like Falcon or some shit. I definitely know that he's lost to Boyd recently at bigger tournaments.
Yeah, I think he got 3-0'd by him earlier in the year.
I would never say that Zamu would lose any matchup on Melee Stats, but I think that this is probably maybe one of the tougher draws that he could have had as a 4th seed in the pool. But yeah, so let's move on to Wave D. In all of Wave D, in the interest of time, I think there's really only 2 that we should point out. And one is in D2, which I don't think should really be... regardless, I find myself just coming back to it. What Cactar Snowy, what do we think?
You know, Snowy's one of those guys where I don't think he particularly stands out among like everyone in Texas. I think he's the best in his like smaller sub-region. But the one matchup that I'm pretty confident in Snowy in is against Fox.
Yeah.
Not just because of his experience with like obviously Leffen and Armada, like training with them or whatever, but he is just he's just genuinely like he plays that matchup very well. And against someone like Cactar, who is a very smart, like old school player, like very fundamentals heavy. It'll kind of be like it's sort of like a younger age player that is very good at like punish game and sort of like knowing the decision tree and like hitting. I'm not doing a good job explaining it, but just I think Snowy knows how to sort of like abuse different Fox habits in a very mini Hungrybox-esque style. And Cactuar is this like old school Fox player that will do his best to avoid the dangerous situations that Snowy has studied and knows how to take advantage of. It's a tough draw for sure.
But I really like Cactuar. I think he's a really smart, really cool player. And I just terrible situation where like I look at pools and someone's like, "Oh my God, Snowy 2-0 Cactuar!" I just like. I think that's the only reason I picked it up as notable.
Yeah, Snowy's probably
situation.
the higher end of 4 seeds, right?
Like he's not even the best puff in Texas. I think his definitely is maybe seen as a little better because of the training that he does and because of him as a puff fluffer.
Mm-hmm.
Good player. Yeah, so maybe I probably like maybe a 3rd seed he could be. I think a 4th seed as him is unimaginable. And the last matchup in round 1 that I really want to talk about is Glory, who is one of the best players from Austria. He's an Austrian Sheik versus Umar, however you pronounce it, who is NorCal PR.
So Glory stock is kind of
Glory stock is hot right now.
Yeah, he's beaten Spud and Nunn lately. He's top 5 in Austria, I think, and probably will be a lot higher by the time their next PR. Umarth is like low PR-ish in NorCal. Umarth recently beat Azusa, which is pretty cool, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, Umarth has wins on a lot of the active NorCal players, but it's definitely negative against a lot of them. I think Umarth is pretty good, but able to consistently beat these players.
So I may not be the best person to talk to about this.
I mean, I think Glory's gonna whoop him.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be I'd be very impressed with Umarth if he won this, but I think Glory's got this in the bag.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go on to top 128.
Yeah.
One of the more interesting top 128s of the year, I think.
Can we start with Pool 1? And can I talk about the match I'm most excited for?
Professor Pro Michael.
We'll start with the last pool. Oven will talk about the match he's least excited for.
So, I want to talk about Quaff versus Ginger. I feel like if this happens, this is danger zone for Ginger. We saw Ginger lose earlier in the year to Arakune, now Dom, but this is one of Quaff's really strong matchups, I think, from watching him play. And I could see this going really badly for Ginger if he's playing just a little bit off.
Yeah, I mean, Falco, and I like you said, Quaff is definitely one of those players. He just comes from a different era, like play style wise. So I could definitely see stories about like this Marth who's not all up on today's metagame beats this character who's supposed to be higher tier than him who's all up on today's metagame. That's something. That's a funny set. I hope that's streamed. Out of all these right here, I think there's a couple of like certain skill, but that definitely seems like a really funny one.
Yeah, one thing I want to mention about Ginger that I think would determine whether he'll win or lose the set is Ginger's like when he loses a game against Marth or like if he's behind by a lot, like he'll sort of start playing a lot more passive and he will just relentlessly shoot lasers over and over and over again, right?
Yeah.
And from what I've noticed, at least like from a very macro standpoint, from what I've noticed in his gameplay, is that if you do not have an answer for him shooting more lasers, he will just kind of relentlessly do it against Marth. But if you do like show that you have a solution, he doesn't really do. I don't think he's really figured out a good solution for that or a good adaptation to the adaptation. So I'd look to see how Quaff deals. I think Quaff will take an early lead, probably catching Ginger off guard a little bit. Ginger will adapt, and then we'll see how long it takes for Quaff to do it, because I haven't really seen Ginger. I haven't, like, at least from an eye test standpoint, I haven't really seen Ginger have good answers to people having answers for him just playing more passive.
Mm-hmm. I like to bring up Nebby Stango.
Yeah, I'm very confused about this because, just to be transparent, I have no clue how this is going to go.
It's thing. I forget who said it in the Melee Stats Podcast Discord. Free to join, where you can talk about anything you want with the boys from the Melee show. I mentioned that Stango does go Fox when he plays Penophobia if he ever needs to. I know they don't really play a ton. But he did go Fox. So I'd be very interested to see what's going on with that. You know, Nebby beat Iceman recently very convincingly. And that Yoshi beats Marth, which I guess I agree with. I don't know.
I don't think anyone knows no one knows for sure.
I used to feel so confident a year ago. I was like, Marth beats Pika, Marth beats Yoshi.
I think he probably beats both, but it's one of those things where it's just like it's a matchup that not many Marths have experience in.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know. Stango, one thing I will say about him is that out of Marth players, his style and like how he plays against low tiers is like a very frustratingly unfun kind of Marth to play against. Like he won't just like mindlessly dash back and like be caught by overshot moves and stuff. He will like stand in position, crouch, forward smash you on reaction when you jump.
Yeah.
He will wave dash back grab, knowing that you can't punish it at certain distances. He will just not move. He will stay posted. Like, if there's a Marth around his like level that beats Nebby, it's probably him. Like him and Ty, I guess. Although Ty, Ty doesn't play like Stango, but like Ty, I guess based off experience playing against Yoshi, the Stango style I think lends itself as Marth pretty well against characters like Yoshi.
I think Stango, it's really funny, and I was thinking the exact same thing, Edwin, that is going to be ranked incredibly far off from someone like Jake and Shaken.
Yeah, I think he'll be like slightly above, but not too much.
Within 10 spots or so. I think Stango probably is going to end somewhere in the lower 70s to anywhere in the 80s. I think Jake and Shaken's probably going to be somewhere in the 90s, maybe like 85 to 90, something.
Sounds about right.
That range of all the Marths, Stango's just this really weird Marth who's like you said, the picture I had was like this Yoshi just getting F-smashed in the middle of the stage. Like,
yeah, Stango is not gonna. I don't think he's gonna. He could lose, but I don't think he's not gonna lose because he like is just like dashing back and looks completely lost. Like he has a pretty good handle on how to hold his space, which tends to work really well in the more wonkier, like boring Marth matchups.
So there's a couple different interesting ones. I think we're just going to pick up maybe like one or two in this pool and then move on to top 128 in the other pool. As round 1 in 128. What do we think about Bladewise Azel? If you talked to me about this, that last year Bladewise was going to play a borderline top 100 Falco, I'm giving Bladewise like a 95% chance. But this year we saw him lost to Lavingi. We saw him lost to it's just he has these like constant losses, it feels like, to these players who doesn't feel like he should be losing to.
Yeah,
I think Azel's a nice like patient Falco player.
Yeah, Bladewise stock is this could be the first year he's not like top 40, or well, it's definitely the year he's not top 40. Maybe it's the year he's not top 50. First time in a long time.
He's got a win on AMSA. That means a lot.
Yeah, he does have the win on AMSA. It's just
It's a
That win
lot.
came in January.
It means a lot.
On a serious note, he's gonna be in front of a home crowd. I think Bladewise has it. I'm more worried about how he's gonna deal with Fiction ruthlessly not approaching him. And then
Yeah,
seeing
I
how
think
that-
Fiction Blade-wise is going to be a definitely interesting one as we move into round 2 of 128. Fiction Peaches to play in SoCal now that MacD is very inactive. He's got a set loss to Vavez, which is really weird, but this is also the same tournament where he lost to Billy Bo Peep. I want to think about that. This is the weird Fiction time where he lost to Fluid and Dr. Light and Bizarro Flame. It's that weird Fiction period in
Dude,
2018.
I'm just gonna say, if Fiction tries to Peach Ditto Bladewise, I'm shutting off the stream.
Oh my god, that'd be the worst thing ever. I don't even. Okay, we're not talking about that anymore.
Yeah, let's move.
Let's go into pool 2.
About this set.
Wait. There's one thing.
Oh.
There's one thing that I want to mention about this pool. I think for these sets, the one with that I'm least excited for, and the one I'm dreading most is Spark Bobby Big Balls.
Oh my
I
God.
could honestly see that being over in like 3.5 minutes.
That's a quick one. I don't really want to go too much into these matches because we're kind of getting to the point where there's not a. These are super interesting, but like it's hard to really say whether or not these are actually going to happen because we're getting to that point in the bracket where any of these players could really be beating each other. But I just want to mention a few that I think are going to be really cool to look at, which is IBW Spark. That's like those are two up and coming players who I think really highly of.
That'll be a really tough
Pro,
win for Spark.
Michael.
If he beats IBDW. IBDW is very good against Sheik.
IBDW is very good against. I remember when we talked about projected bracket for Big House, and we were like, yes, that Plup could lose this. And I think Edwin, we were the only two who were like, he loses like round one of top 32 against IBDW.
Yeah,
and
he
everyone was
lost
like,
against
what?
Bananas. Go figure.
Top 3 versus Bananas. But
Yes,
yeah,
Plup at Big House, man. I don't know.
Big House Plup at Plup is a different Plup.
Yeah, that too.
Anyway, to go on, Professor Pro Michael. I think that's a very interesting one. I know that's one that Aiden was talking about how he's really looking to see what would happen there. Professor Pro, we know, has a set win on HBox, one of the
Oh
more
my
idiosyncratic
God.
things.
That's
I hate when that. I know you're joking, but just but like for people listening to this, just when people say that, you really gotta question. Like they're really looking for something, That was 3 years ago.
Yeah, dude. I mean, he still beat HBox. HBox in 2015 was good.
I got like sometimes I forget that set happened. It's
So
like
nuts that it existed.
yeah, sets like Professor Pro beating HBox and like Brandit Homemade Waffles beating Plup are things that I just like occasionally remember, and it just hits me how out of nowhere they were.
yeah.
But anyway, yeah, Prof. Michael, I think that's definitely one to look out for. Zayn Nebi, I think people are kind of overhyping. I'm still really interested to watch that as well. And the only one thing I had to say about this pool, Luigi Ka Master versus Swedish Delight. If I really want that to be a Luigi Ditto, or if I really don't want it to be a Luigi Ditto, I just know that I feel very strongly
I knew
about it.
as soon as
one
he
way or the
said
other.
the match, I was like, I know where he's going.
Yeah, I
with
knew
this.
you were gonna bring up the Luigi Ditto point.
I just like there's a 0% chance that I have anything but a strong feeling towards it, but it's like 50-50 whether it could be like
Good or bad.
or very strong dislike.
Yeah, the rest of these.
Think about pool 1 before we go on to pool 2. Oven, do you have anything you want to say?
Not really. Did we talk? We didn't say anything about NMW and Nikki. Is Nikki good versus Falcon?
Nikki is pretty good versus Falcon. He got one of his first really good wins. I think where people noticed him as a really good player in Europe was last year when he beat Yappy, even though
Wow.
Yappy was kind of on the way out. 16-year-old kid who beat Yappy at was it last year's Air, I think. Pretty solid. The only issue that The only reason why I didn't bring that up is because NMW did beat Nikki
That makes
one
sense.
of the parking lots this week, I believe.
I see.
I think that's definitely interesting, and I if you're young Fox players, I think Nikki is one of the players who I think could really pop off. So it'll be interesting to see how he does.
There's one more set I want to just ask you guys on. We sort of talked about his rough comeback to the U.S. But does Frenzy have a shot against Ryan Ford?
I guess I could see it. I mean, Ryan Ford, I think is Falco. He's got like this weird thing where I remember he played this one set versus West Balls. Falco did it him, but the Falco did was like kind of close. It was really weird.
Ryan's got a pretty solid Falco. But actually, yeah, I take that. I've seen Ryan Ford's Falco kind of do work, and I low key think he would still beat Frenzy in the Falco Ditto. So,
Yeah.
never mind.
Okay.
All right, so
Pool
2, which I think is a lot of interesting matchups are in here. To mention a few, in winners round 1 to me is pretty interesting. Really looking forward to is Zamu Timmy, 2 players who I think are really on the come up.
Yeah.
Zamu, who is very good against Falco, he's beaten Ginger. He demolishes Rick when Rick goes Falco. It feels like just feels like he's very positive on Rick. Interesting because I think Timmy's a really good player. Like I said, he's beaten Prof this year. And another Spacey Ditto that I'm looking forward to is Hacks versus RK, who's Seku now. Somehow always gets a Fox bracket too.
Is he gonna go last game Heartbreaker with Hacks?
Yes.
Yeah, and then Hacks is gonna have a last game Heartbreaker with Absent Page. This is gonna be last game Heartbreaker out here.
Yeah. I actually really like this bracket for Hacks, and I'm pretty. This is jumping ahead a little bit, but him versus Absent Page is going to be really simultaneously super lame, but also really cool because they're both mega fast foxes that don't like to commit, and it'll be kind of like watching the Master versus the Apprentice. I think Absent Page's play is a little more. I think Hacks hits a lot harder than Absent Page, and he's a little more sort of strict in his option coverage, whereas Absent Page will sometimes kind of end his follow-ups pretty early and sort of just like take stage. And I think in a matchup like the Fox Ditto, taking hits as far as you can and not always just going for positional advantage in mix-ups can really go a long way. And I think it'll be fun to watch, because Absent Page has talked about being inspired by in the past, and I think this will be fun to watch, and this is a good bracket for Hacks. RK can kind of warm him up for
Absent Page, yeah.
For Absent, yeah.
I think speaking of warm up, I think it's going to be interesting to see Captain Face Roll versus Moki. Moki has H2 into Captain Face Roll. And I really think Moki has a good shot, but Face Roll has just been one of those players who, I don't know, it just like feels like there's these foxes who would beat Swedish. I don't think beats Face Roll. And this is like really weird thing. It's positive this year on Absent Page. He actually hasn't lost to Absent Page this year. I believe
he's 2-0 on him.
2-0 on him, and he beat Absent Page in late 2017. The 2018 ranking period. He beat him at the Winter Theater the last weekend of 2017. So he's like 3-0 on Absent Page for the ranking period. It's just like, I think going into this that Face Roll is going to lose these things, but he's kind of turning the corner on Lucky this year. I think he's like 4-5 with Lucky or something that's really close.
Yeah, Face Roll. Like, there's an idea of Sheik. Sorry, go on.
No, I was just gonna say, any other Sheik that you have in this situation, other than like Plup, I'm like, Yeah, they like. I don't know if they really have a. Like, I'd probably say, oh, Mogi versus any other non-plup Sheik is probably going to do really well. But face roll that situation, I don't know. Someone like
Yeah, I
that,
was gonna say like if you replace face roll with Shroomed, I think we're a little excited for Moki.
yeah,
Especially because he went close to Shroomed before when they played at Shine, and but like with face roll, I think it'll like Moki can still do it. I wouldn't be surprised. Moki is a very high ceiling player, but face roll is one of those Sheiks where I don't think he's really intimidated by other Fox players. I think he's more than willing to step up to the challenge. He
yeah,
sort of had a reputation as the tech chase again, not dissimilar from VR Tallrog, but he was face roll was kind of like the tech chase guy who would just like grind his punish game, go to locals, like go negative against most of the high tier SoCal, but like have a few wins. But like he's really turned his records around this year and expanded his gameplay. I've been really impressed by face roll a lot lately, and
yeah.
it's definitely cool. Like it's like what you're saying. He's a Sheik player that like seems very comfortable against Fox, which is not always what you think of.
Yeah. So a few more before we go through here, and then talk about top 32 pretty quickly. When you get really far into bracket, it's tough to really make these big predictions because who even knows at this point who's going to be playing each other? Because at this type of skill level, it could be anything. So we're not going to talk 32, but I want to finish up talking about Pool 2 a little, and then we'll make a few predictions, and then probably finish the episode there. I think Free Palestine Smash Daddy is really interesting. And for the same thing, like you talk about Sheik, Fox is really good. I think Smash Daddy is probably one of the best players who doesn't have like a true breakout performance. I think he's gotten a 64 at the Big House this year, I believe. But even then, I don't think there's any like true big win that you could tell someone to like prophesize them to saying that he's a really good player.
Yeah, other than like a few like in region SoCal PR wins, I don't think he's really had it.
Best balls this year. He's gotten definitely some good wins. I believe he's beaten Face Roll actually. I could be wrong about that. So that's a really interesting one. Is whoever beats him plays SFAT, and if anyone remembers 4, what was it, Genesis 5? What was it, Genesis? Where SFAT went like last hit time.
Yeah, Free Palestine took him really close earlier this year.
So close. So
that's
that would
crazy
be interesting.
That's SFAT against Sheik.
Yeah.
That's one of his
Exactly. And then Smash Daddy, SFAT, I think is interesting. SFAT's pretty good, the Fox to know. But I definitely think that someone like Smash Daddy has the opportunity to run him close.
Dude, what about Kalamazoo Spud?
And that's the last. That was like one of the last big things that I really wanted to bring up.
Mm-hmm.
I really think that Aiden's going to be talking about this either way to me. I'm going to hear
yeah. I'm definitely a big
when Armada
believer right now, so
yeah. Oh, I think Kazu's really great. Kazu's one of those players who just feels like you think about him, and I probably think about him like kind of a lower top 50 player, somewhere in the 40s, and maybe somewhere in a low like 37 or someone. But just looking at his records and his wins, he had a pretty good shine. He beat Lucky. He beat La Luna. He had a really good Mango Homecoming. He beat S2J.
He beat his Demon Army or Ice Climbers.
His Demon and Ice Climber. I think that he just has this really solid record. But I don't know. I just keep thinking about Aiden messaging me. Dude, Spud and Armada played an hour of friendlies and they went even. I just can't stop thinking about that.
That's what yeah.
Yeah, so like back
either
on
way,
Kalamazoo,
let's see what happens.
Oh, sorry, go on.
I don't speak about Kalamazoo.
I was gonna say with Kalamazoo, it's like you're saying. I think when you look at his resume, like it really stands out a lot more than you would initially think. And one thing with Kalamazoo I want to bring up is I think he's actually closer to like Triff than he is to say that like Ginger. and that's kind of it's kind of something that I didn't think was going to be anywhere close
Yeah.
to in the spring.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And and depending on how he does here, like who knows? Like if Kalamazoo beats Trith and if he makes top 8 at this tournament, like winner side or something, like does he end up above him and by the end of the year? Who knows?
Yeah, Kazu is definitely a really weird like thing to point out between the differences between his like maybe perceived skill by just like saying where do you think Kalamazoo should be ranked, and then like his actual results. I definitely think that it's going to be one of those things where he'll probably be like, around 35, maybe 30 to 35 this year.
Yeah, that's where I have him.
Or whatever. Look too much into the details. Confused by that, but whenever they see that, like whenever they see his sets, his records, I definitely think that they'll probably believe it. All right, so like I said, top 32 at this point. You're getting so many. It's really hard to say whether or not this is going to still stay as it is, but
we're potentially getting a Banana Squid rematch. I think that we should note.
That should be very interesting. Yeah. Bananas has an interesting run if he beats Squid. He gets KGH. They haven't played, and KGH has been run close by some in the past.
Yeah, I mean, KGH literally just dropped a tournament to Boyd, so I'm not feeling too good about his team.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting in the fact that they've never played. It's not interesting in any other way. SUJ and Bananas have played before, and Bananas have won. So that's something that's really cool to see. Plays the winner of IBDW Spark. I think either way, that could be pretty close. Yeah. Rishi Fiction. Fiction's already beaten Rishi this year at the Big House. And the winner of that plays Zane.
So maybe this is the Rishi revenge run? Beating Fiction and Zane?
Into Zane? Into Swedish?
Swedish or none. If he beat none, then it would be the complete revenge. Winners finals.
Imagine. So I definitely think it's. I don't think I want to get too much into because there's so many possibilities. Just look at this top 32.
I mean, hell, this is the S2J revenge. Like, I know Face Roll eliminated him early from Flatiron or beat him there.
Yeah, Face Roll's beating him there.
Mm-hmm. And S2J could then beat Bananas and SFAT. Yeah, wow.
Yeah. Kazu's beating SFAT.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Ford is 2-0 on Swedish Delight this year.
Yeah, Swedish, like this is actually kind of scary for Swedish.
This is a pretty crazy bracket. Hugs, absent page. I know people have said that dropping out. I will say that Aiden seems like Hugs is probably going to stay in, considering Hugs is going to be floated. So bracket should stay as it is. I believe Hugs is going to be playing. It should be something that's really interesting, considering absent page kind of like whooped Duck at a combo breaker this year.
You'll whoop Duck, yeah. I think Hacks will take that spot though, so I don't see Hacks beating Hugs at all. So,
Hacks is going to have a great game plan versus Hugs. He's going to look so good while getting like
2-stocked
90% of the game, yet lose every game.
Great game time ends up with like high percent 2-stock from Hugs every game.
He's going to take the first stock, and then he's going to lose his stock. He's going to take the first stock in like a minute and a half, and then lose his stock like 30 seconds later because he got crouch canceled down smash on a platform.
Or wave dash back forward tilted or some shit.
Exactly. Like there's so many ways. I think that'll be a funny set if that does occur.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think we're kind of nearing the end of it. Bracket to do this with, but does anyone have any winners? I think good money's on Zane to win this bracket. Rishi, Swedish, S2J if S2J is able to beat SFAT.
Yeah.
So what are we thinking?
Hmm.
I'm actually a little. The thing is, like the people in Zayn's past that I would see being difficult for him are like Rishi and Swedish. But as much as Swedish has improved against Fox this year, like especially in the later part of the year, Ryan Ford just plays a kind of like he's kind of in that like Mike Hayes tier of Fox players that I think even Swedish himself would admit that he tends to have difficulty against because they just like
Yeah.
will not give him that many openings. And yeah, as for Rishi, I don't know if he's going to be focusing on ultimate over melee for this event or not. Um, I'm not entirely confident in his chances against Fiction, who seems a lot more melee focused right now.
Hmm.
So, and I guess the other person in Zayn's path that could be difficult is None, but he also beat him the last time they played.
Yeah.
So, I'm pretty confident that Zayn will make it to winners finals, and as if he does not face S2J, it is very likely that he will play SFAT, and I think we know how that goes.
Yes.
I think I'm gonna, yeah, I kind of alluded to it, but I'm gonna be the lame person and say Zayn if he does not play S2J, which I don't think he's gonna get the chance to.
Hmm. I've been thinking about this, and I don't want to say Zayn.
Yeah, I felt lame saying Zayn, but I also would feel dumb saying any other answer but Zayn. So
I feel
I,
like
that
I really
in
want to
mind.
see None versus Zayn though, because None has cleaned up None cleaned up his game plan against Marth a lot,
Yeah,
and he lost pretty solidly last time, but I still think that's a relative like
what
even
do you mean he
like I know
cleaned up
Zayn
his
beat
game plan
Wizardrobe,
versus Marth?
but I still think it could be like if Zayn's playing a little bit off, like None could just win that 3-1.
yeah. I mean, the people who I was gonna say Zayn. If I had to think of any other thing, would probably be S2J or None.
Um.
Maybe I'm too wild for that.
What did
Man,
you say?
honestly, like it's Swedish. If it weren't for Ryan Ford, I would kind of like his chances. Like Ryan Ford and I think SFAT in grand finals would be a really tough draw for Swedish. But like
Winners finals.
other than SFAT and Ryan Ford, like he can beat everyone. Or I mean, he can beat those two also. But like I actually kind of like his chances against the other people. It's just like with Ryan Ford, like I think that's really tough for the first round.
Yeah, I think the most outside shot is, well, not like the most outside shot, but the most outside shot while still possibly having a chance is, like you guys said, Zayn if he can dodge S2J. I'd say Bananas if he can dodge Zayn, but that's like a harder.
Okay.
So like if we get Bananas versus None winners finals.
Yes. Oh God. Never mind.
Oh man.
Oh my God, could you
If None
imagine?
takes another selfie or whatever, Jesus
In
Christ,
winners
dude.
finals this time, that'd be fucked up.
I mean, it would be like, he did it at the last dump park, right? So
Yeah,
who knows?
Yeah.
that's what I was saying.
Yeah, dude.
That's awesome.
Is there
So
any
that your
shot
prediction
chance
then?
of the hacks run if he dodges Hug somehow? Because he gets the Fox Dittos into potentially a Falcon.
That's true. Do you think he has any chance in winners finals against any of the possible opponents? Like, I guess none.
I think None would I don't know. Hacks kind of gave it to Gatsu when they played, so I think his chances against None to be good as any Fox around his level, if not better.
I don't think Hax is really gonna take it that far.
Yeah, I think Hugs will pretty solidly make it this far and beat him.
Yeah.
Does Absent Page have a potential run? Because that's someone that S2J wants to avoid. I think
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
like out of the people in this bracket, SFAT I know is pretty solidly in the lead, the head-to-head lead against S2J, but they play locally enough where I think it's starting to kind of like it's still solidly SFAT favored, but S2J is starting to make it more competitive. Whereas Absent Page is kind of like soul red and S2J as lately, or if
Yeah.
not, just like being a step ahead.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna say,
definitely
for
one
my
of the
final
more
guess,
interesting
I'm
results to
gonna
come out
say-
of this year.
I'm gonna say the Wobblers win, and
That's your pick? That
Okay.
I'm
the
gonna have
tournament?
the
The tournament?
Yeah, I'll say Bananas is gonna win the tournament, and
For Ultimate too?
no, not for fucking Ultimate. Dude,
Please, no one talk about who's going to win Ultimate here on this podcast.
No.
We'll let Save do his own Ultimate stats podcast.
Yeah. He's got that in the bag.
We'll let him do it.
yeah.
All right, yeah, so awesome. So we got 2 Zanes and Bananas.
Yeah, I think that just about does it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much for being with us on the first episode of the Melee Stats Minisode. So we were trying something new this episode, and this is our first time doing it. Tell us what worked. Tell us what didn't work. Tell us what you want. And because this is something that's going to be
patrons,
Patreon exclusive
Yeah, I'd like to thank Alec,
to the fans.
Vucinic,
Tell us what
Carlos
you want to hear from
Robles,
us.
David Shearer,
Obviously, anytime a
Utost,
big major
Greg
comes around,
Schaefer,
we're going to be doing
Okay,
deep dives.
Jack
to the pools.
Harmoning, Jackzilla,
But tell us what else
Jason
you want
Kelly,
to hear about.
JM, Joey Danowitz, Jorgen Stenhammer, Matthew Biddle, Ozen Breton, Potato, Stock Money, Ted Darkside, and Videotape. Thank you guys a ton. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much. All right, bye everyone.
See you.